Dawn. October 14th, 1066. The grass was still wet with mist. The hill near Hastings was quiet, for a moment. But across the ridge, two armies stared through the fog, knowing by nightfall only one king would remain. Isabel, the backbone of Saxon defense, legendary, immovable, tested. Below, on the low ground, Duke William of Normandy gripped his reins, his eyes fixed on the rise before him. His banner fluttered, two golden lions on red, a promise to God, a claim to the throne, and a vow to take it before the sun set. His army was a symphony of the continent, archers from Brittany, infantry from Normandy, and the core. His armored knights, trained not just to fight, but to break nations. And then, the horns blew, the earth trembled. Thousands of feet pounding forward, cavalry lances lowered like spears of fate. The sky darkened with arrows. But Harold's men didn't flinch. They stood shoulder to shoulder, shields overlapping, axes raised. The first impact sounded like thunder. The Norman charge shattered on the wall. Men and horses crashed, slid back down the muddy slope. Screams, steel, and chaos echoed into the hills. Then came a second wave, then a third. But the hill refused to yield, and so did the Saxons. They had marched days to get here, fresh from a brutal victory in the north. Bloodied, yes, but unbroken. The Normans paused. Confusion rippled. A rumor surged like wildfire. William is dead. Panic. Retreat. The line began to fold. But then, a lone rider galloped to the front. William himself. Helmet off, eyes blazing. "Look at me, I live." The Normans roared. Fear turned to fury. William didn't just regain control. He unleashed something darker. He ordered a feigned retreat, a masterstroke of deception. The Saxon line, proud, perhaps too proud, broke formation to chase, and that was the first crack in the wall. In that instant, what had been a battle became a hunt. But it wasn't over. In part 2, you'll see how that single tactical illusion became a spiral into death. How kings fall not with swords, but with arrows no one saw coming. When the Normans turned and ran, the Saxons took the bait. It wasn't cowardice, it was confidence. For hours, they'd stood unbroken, turning back wave after wave. To them, the enemy was cracking. So when the center of William's line seemed to flee, some Saxons broke formation and gave chase. It was a mistake that would rewrite English history. The Normans spun on their heels, slamming back into the pursuers, cutting them down with cold precision. What had looked like retreat was a trap, and it worked. The once a solid English line began to loosen, not all at once, but enough. The shield wall, that ancient backbone of Anglo-Saxon warfare, needed unity. One break, one weakness, and it unraveled. And William, he saw it. He didn't hesitate. He pressed harder. His archers began arcing their volleys, not straight, but high over the shields, falling like iron rain. The sky turned black, the hill turned red, and still, King Harold stood his ground. At the center of the line, beneath his dragon banner, he fought like a warrior king, not directing, not commanding, but swinging a sword alongside his men. Bloodied, brave, doomed. Then came the moment no one could undo. From the sky, an arrow fell. Not just any arrow. The arrow. It struck Harold near the eye. Some say it pierced his skull. Others say he was struck, then cut down by Norman knights. But one thing is certain. When Harold fell, so did England's last Saxon crown. The line collapsed around him. The men who had held firm all day now saw their king broken at their feet. And the Normans surged, no longer cautious, no longer measured. Now, they were wolves in the fold. The remaining Saxons fought to the end, axes swinging wildly, backed against ditches, buried beneath hooves. By sunset, the hill was quiet again. But it wasn't peaceful. It was finished. 1,000 years of Saxon rule had ended in a single day. Not with treaties, not with walls, but with one battle, one tactic, and one arrow no one saw coming. In part 3, we'll witness what came after, how William claimed the throne, how England changed forever, and why Hastings was not just a victory, but the beginning of something far more brutal. The smoke had barely cleared. Crows circled above the blood-soaked hill of Hastings. Thousands of bodies lay where they fell housecarls, with broken axes, Norman knights gashed and still, and at the center, a King Harold Godwinson, the last Anglo-Saxon ruler of England, lay slain. But for Duke William of Normandy, the battle was only step one. Now came the harder part, holding the crown. At first, the English refused to accept him. In London, nobles rallied, trying to appoint another king. But William, ruthless and passionate, advanced with precision. Every village that resisted was burned. Every lord who defied him was crushed. And by Christmas Day, 1066, in Westminster Abbey, William was crowned King of England. The Norman elite began to take over. English earls were stripped of their lands. Castles foreign and brutal rose across the countryside. Stone by stone, England was rebuilt. In William's image. And he never forgot the hill that gave him everything. He ordered a great Benedictine abbey to be built where Harold fell, its altar placed exactly where the king's body had lain. It was called Battle Abbey, a monument not to peace, but to conquest. Yet William's rule wasn't secure. For years, he faced rebellion after rebellion. From the north, from the Welsh border, even from his own Norman lords. Each time, he responded with fire and steel. In one infamous campaign, he razed entire regions, killing livestock, burning crops, starving villages so thoroughly that the scars can still be seen in the land today. They called it the Herring of the North, but William endured. He governed with an iron grip, introducing laws, taxes, and a census that became legend. The Doomsday Book. His conquest reshaped England forever. The language changed. The aristocracy changed. The very identity of the English people was because Hastings wasn't just a victory. It was a reset. A line drawn in blood between old and new. Before the battle, England was ruled by Saxons. After it by Normans. The old gods, the old ways, the old names, buried beneath Norman stone. William died in 1087. But his shadow never left. Because every monarch who followed him, every noble who ruled, carried the echo of that day on the hill. Hastings. One battle, and a new world, born from conquest. Thank you for watching Battle Reborn. If this saga gripped you, don't forget to subscribe, share, and tell us what single moment in history changed everything for your people. Until next time.